headbutting Kobe or headbutting Marco Maserati, whatever his name is. And that was biting Evander Holyfield's ear during a boxing match. That not only did he try to do it once, he tried to do it 2 or 3 times. I just watched the highlights from the fight, and Mills Lane, to his credit, did a great job of keeping them separate during the fracas. But you can't bite someone's ear twice in one fight. You can't even do it once in a fight. You certainly shouldn't do it twice. But he did. And coupled that with his off the field, out of the ring issues, getting into fights, and all of that, he is a dirty player. Now, that being said, after the fight's over, he is one of the friendliest, most sportsman-like guy. Watching these videos that I did to do research for this, every time he knocked someone out, whether they were falling into the ropes or they were stumbling to get back up, he was the first one to go over and try and help them up. So after it's like he had a switch. Like, when that bell rings...
Well, I think he kind of said that he just turns into an animal when he's in the ring.
Like I said, you can't bite people's ears. That's why he's dirty.
Counterpoint. We don't know what Evander Holyfield's ear looked like from Mike Tyson's perspective. It could have looked like a steak. It could have looked like
a mushroom?
A nice drumstick. Maybe Tyson was just starving and thought that would give him a nice boost of energy to get some food in his stomach. In all seriousness, I think it's one major incident, like with Zidane. This one is obviously worse. I don't even know.
He committed a felony.
Yeah, basically.
He committed a felony.
And may have given Holyfield some rabies at the same time. But, I think that was the only, major incident that he had in boxing.
There's one more that I can think of, and that is knocking out Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover. That was uncalled for.
They stole his tiger.
But the argument I'm going to make for that is you shouldn't make your tiger accessible.
True. There's very bad security setup.
That, and it was clearly CGI, so it doesn't even count.
True.
So, and he also, fooled them with the hand movements. And
that's what makes it the worst.
Whammo. It was a sucker punch.
Not only did you knock out Zach Galifianakis, it was a sucker punch, and you were also listening to Phil Collins. Right there.
Maybe that's his hype music. Maybe that's what gets him angry. It's just he hates nighttime air, I guess.
Or Phil Collins, because if I had to listen to Phil Collins, I'd want to knock someone out too.
It's a personal choice, I guess. I don't know. I kind of agree with you going back to Tyson. I think he's always going to be remembered for that move, and that's what's going to stick into our mind. And there's no doubt it's a dirty play. It's actually disgusting when you think about it. Biting somebody's ear, not to mention after you've been sweating, and there's probably all kinds of
seasoning.
Yeah, whatever the cut men use in those situations, not to mention to grease up the gloves, that's all going to be on you by the time you're biting somebody's ear. And I guess I can understand, because like we said, Mike Tyson said some pretty outrageous things outside of the ring, so I don't know that he really thought it through, kind of like some of the statements he's made. But
he's another one of those guys where you can kind of see the crazy in the eyes.
What it was is he thought he was better than he was, which is crazy because he was amazing.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait, are you bashing how good he was?
No,
but, okay.
He realized that Holyfield had the advantage, and he couldn't handle that. He had never really had a fight that he wasn't in control of, and then Holyfield is taking it to him, is at the very least going toe to toe with him, and Mike Tyson feels he's losing control of the fight, and does whatever he thinks is going to help him either gain an advantage or stop the fight, whatever it might be. That's what I think it was. I don't think it was necessarily him thinking, I'm going to bite this dude's ear. I think that's a good move. I think it was panic, like, what am I going to do? I can't let this slip away. So he went to bite him twice.
I think you're right. Most likely. I mean, I would imagine that that's got to be his thought process. I think that because of it, he's always going to enter this conversation when people have it about a dirty athlete or player, because you're never not going to forget that.
15 years from now, will he be more so remembered as the guy who bit Evander Holyfield's ear, or the guy who reemerged in the 2000s with a crazy face tattoo?
It could go either way, but I don't think he'll ever lose
the ear.
The ear biting. I mean, It's just such an outrageous thing. It almost seems like you wouldn't believe it if there wasn't tape.
Yeah, and he's probably known more for that than his boxing career now.
Is that possibly because I had a joke that I was going to say that I realized was kind of lame, so I'm just going to say it now anyways. People watching boxing in the 80s saw him as an up-and-comer. People watching boxing in the 90s knew him as the baddest man on the planet. People watching boxing in the 2000s knew him as the guy with the crazy face tattoo. People watching boxing in the 2010s don't exist. So,
unfortunately, that's the case. I mean, you were given almost one amazing fight, and it turned out to be anything but that.
Well, I mean, it was amazing. It just wasn't in the way that everyone was expecting.
The problem is there are good fights. It's just they either are good defensive fights, like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, or they don't show the big guys. I mean, I've never seen advertisements for any of the Klitschko fights.
That's true.
Ever.
Yeah, good point.
But, with Tyson, again, it was one fight still. I don't think that should put him in the top of all time. I think it's deserved that he is remembered for that.
Oh, he's not the top. He's number 3.
But, he's in your top 5 of recently thought of dirty people. Who did Mayweather fight after Pacquiao? Was it Marquez?
Yeah.
Marquez tried to headbutt him when at some point during the fight, and while not as bad as biting his ear off, I think it was you're in a fight, and the heat of the moment can get to you.
The reason it wasn't as big of an issue is because who is Marquez? You know Floyd Mayweather, you know Manny Pacquiao. If you follow any kind of boxing now, you know Shane Mosley, you know some of the guys that get passed around between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. But you don't really get to see two heavyweight. I mean, now we're going to call them icons. Floyd Mayweather. That man is a heavyweight to children, maybe. But you don't get to see Evander Holyfield, who's an icon, and Mike Tyson, who's an icon. You just don't get those kinds of personalities, those kinds of fighters anymore.
No.
Not since, I'd say probably Roy Jones Jr. and Oscar De La Hoya was probably, besides Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, the last two big stars of boxing.
Yeah, I wonder if that's partially due to the emergence of MMA.
And also because now you can only see the fights on, HBO.
Well, I think
they had the HBO fights then, but you could hear the boxing fights. You could see them on, ESPN, which they don't. They only do it, 2 a.m. now.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big
pay-per-view
issues.
Downfall of America. You heard it here first.
Yeah, guys. All right, so we got through Mike Tyson as my number 3. Tony, who's your number 3?
My number 3, I believe, is actually going to be shared on your list here, but it's Ndamukong Suh. Obviously, the reasons here should be self-explanatory to anybody who watches football.
Absolutely hate
He's another person that likes to target the groin. We've seen this before as far as the return to the huddle, whether it's catching a knee or catching a foot because he doesn't really want to pick up his feet to the side of somebody's helmet. He's been fined 8 different times, twice suspended for stepping on people. I mean, I don't know how many times he's got to show it before we accept that this man currently has to have the reputation of the most dirtiest player, or the most dirty player in the league currently.
I will somewhat agree with that. There's one other guy that I would put on the list that I left off because like I didn't want to harp on like the big defensive football player guys. That's Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah, you did mention him earlier, so I could get that. He does do a lot of hits that are questionable and a lot that are late, so I can see that, but I don't think there's anything as blatantly obvious as stepping on people
on their ankles when they're down.
Yeah, especially like Aaron Rodgers, quarterbacks that the referee is going to be watching the quarterback. Why are you doing this? You couldn't have thought you could possibly get away with it.
Hurt people. That I've seen him do it probably 1,000 times, especially now that he's on the Dolphins, and I'm of course a big Jets fan.
He's cooled off though on the Dolphins.
It's less, but it's less time.
But he's still doing some very dirty things. And
Give him time.
Yeah, I've certainly seen it since he's joined the Dolphins. He's just trying to hurt people. That's what he wants to do. He thinks, it'll make him win more, maybe, or maybe he just has a cruel streak. I don't know.
I think he just legitimately gets angry at people when he feels like they've slighted him or done him wrong, and he wants to retaliate. I don't think like he necessarily has, the mindset of like, I'm going to hurt you now.
Right.
I think it just legitimately is he can't control his temper.
There's a good possibility of that. I mean, either way, he's got to get it under control, or he's going to go down with a reputation of being one of the all-time great dirty players.
Tony, do you have anything more you want to say about Ndamukong Suh?
No, I think he speaks for himself.
I hate
YouTube him.
I hate Dolphins fans for giving him the nickname Tsunami, and they had
that is brilliant.
Earth Wake for Cameron Wake. It was creative. I just hate them for
that's brilliant.
Just because I hate him.
Yeah, you hate Cameron Wake?
No, I hate Sue.
I was gonna say Cameron Wake would be on our list of best people.
he's a fine guy.
He just hates them because they're dolphins.
Yeah, stupid sea mammals.
But think about it. Ndamukong Suh gets to play Tom Brady twice a year.
I mean, that's what I thought was the plan for the whole AFC East, was just stack up on D lines and try and murder Tom Brady. Didn't seem to work.
But again, that whole fart at Tom Brady, you get suspended issue, whatever.
Yeah.
So, who do you have at number 3?
I have Kevin Garnett at number 3. Kevin Garnett is just... He's dirty, and I think he's all bark and no bite. He wants to talk crap about Carmelo's wife, Lala, and then runs away to the bus.
He said she tasted like something.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
That's right.
Which she very well may. I don't know. And neither does Kevin Garnett. And
but he's going to tell you he knows.
Yeah. But then he's going to run away when, Melo's trying to come have a little chat with him.
And chase him down the tunnel.
Yeah. But, and then that's not the only time he's run away. He ran away from Antonio McDyess.
I'd run away from Antonio McDyess, too. Talking about people looking crazy, he is like... He's like a mix between Artest and J.R. Smith, crazy looking.
Yeah, but Garnett's basically just a bully. Like he'll pick on the smaller guys in the league, and then anytime a big man comes at him, he runs away.
That's not necessarily true, because Glenn Big Baby Davis got into an argument with the ref, and Kevin Garnett told him to stop. He didn't stop. Then Kevin Garnett grabbed him, told him to shut the hell up and sit the F down. This guy is bigger than Kevin Garnett.
Wasn't Big Baby on his team at the time, though?
Yeah, this is when he was in Boston.
Yeah. I mean, that's like teammates.
Glenn Big Baby Davis cried. He literally made a grown man cry.
Well, he's got a Big Baby nickname for a reason. Come on. But thankfully Lamarcus Aldridge slapped Garnett around. That was just wonderful to see. Because, Garnett does things like slap Tim Duncan from behind and
right.
and like hide.
When I watched that video, I was like, what is going on?
He just tries to get away with all these dirty elbows, dirty screens where he's just, shoulder first into people's heads.
Low blow to Channing Frye.
Yep.
Like a WWE style low blow.
Yep.
Like from behind.
Under. Checking to see what was between his legs, I guess. And I don't think there's anyone that can question that Garnett is dirty, and I think he's well deserved on this list. And
I